Well, face it. It's my mother's house, and she owns it, and she wanted the people she wanted in it, and she didn't want the people that I wanted in it.
On November 7, 1917, Edith Little Edie Bouvier Beale was born into a world of privilege and promise. She was the daughter of Phelan Beale, a wealthy Wall Street lawyer, and Edith Big Edie Bouvier Beale, an aristocratic socialite with a passion for music and art. From the very beginning, little Edie was destined to be a part of New York's elite, with connections to some of the most powerful families in the country, including her cousin, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. Little Edie spent her childhood in luxury, growing up in a lavish townhouse in Manhattan before moving to the Grand Grey Gardens estate in East Hampton. The mansion was a dreamlike residence with manicured gardens, sprawling rooms, and an air of timeless sophistication. It was a house that promised a future filled with elegance and success. But within its walls, secrets were growing, secrets that would haunt Edie for the rest of her life. Grey Gardens was meant to be a paradise, a retreat from the bustling social scene of New York. However, as the years passed, it became something else entirely: a prison, a place of decay, and a symbol of lost grandeur. The downward spiral began when Phelan Beale abandoned his wife and daughter, leaving them with dwindling financial support. Big Edie, a woman who once hosted extravagant parties, refused to conform to societal expectations, choosing instead to live in her own world of nostalgia and music. Little Edie, who had once dreamed of a glamorous life as a model and actress, was slowly pulled into the crumbling world of Grey Gardens. She tried to break free, briefly moving to New York City to pursue her dreams, but was called back home under the weight of family duty. As years turned into decades, the mansion transformed from a symbol of wealth into a haunting relic of the past. Overrun with wild animals, falling into disrepair, and filled with garbage, Grey Gardens became a place of legend and horror. Behind the decaying walls of Grey Gardens, secrets festered. The Beals lived in complete isolation, cut off from the outside world and clinging to the remnants of their former glory. But there was something more sinister beneath the eccentricity, a deep and painful codependency that bound mother and daughter together in an unbreakable cycle. Edie spoke often of lost love, of the suitors she had to turn away because of her mother's demands. Rumors swirled that she had once been engaged to a powerful man, but was forced to reject him to remain at Grey Gardens. The house became both a fortress and a cage, holding Edie hostage to the past. Some whispered that there were other secrets buried within the estate, letters hidden away, never sent, money stashed in forgotten corners, too little to save them, and even darker, the suggestion that spirits of the past still roamed the halls, forever tied to the tragedy of the Beals. By the time filmmakers Albert and David Maysles arrived in the 1970s, Grey Gardens had become infamous. The mansion was in a state of complete ruin, and yet, inside its collapsing walls, Big Edie and Little Edie carried on as if nothing had changed. They bickered, they sang, they reminisced about a world long gone. The documentary Grey Gardens exposed their lives to the world, making them unlikely celebrities, but also further entrenching their status as tragic figures. For Little Edie, the film was both a blessing and a curse. She had always dreamed of fame, and now she had it, but not in the way she had hoped. Instead of being a glamorous starlet, she was seen as an oddity, a woman who had become trapped in a life she never wanted. As the world watched their eccentric lives unfold on screen, Little Edie struggled to come to terms with her fate. She longed to escape Grey Gardens, to forge a new identity for herself beyond the shadow of her mother. Yet, the weight of history, obligation, and psychological bonds held her firmly in place. She dressed in elaborate makeshift outfits, transforming her misfortune into a unique form of self-expression. But beneath the vibrant scarves and eccentric dances, there was a deep sadness, a longing for what could have been. As the years passed, Grey Gardens continued to deteriorate. The once magnificent estate, where little Edie had played as a child, had become an uninhabitable ruin, infested with raccoons and stray cats. The walls that once housed grand parties now bore the weight of years of neglect, filled with the echoes of a family trapped in their own memories. When Big Edie passed away in 1977, little Edie finally left Grey Gardens. The house, once a beautiful sanctuary, had become a tomb of memories. She sold the property and tried to reinvent herself, moving to Florida and performing in small cabaret shows. But the world had already defined her by her past, and she could never fully escape the shadow of Grey Gardens. Little Edie passed away in 2002, leaving behind a legacy that was both heartbreaking and mesmerizing. The secrets of Grey Gardens remain, whispered in the walls of the once glorious mansion, and in the tragic, unforgettable story of the woman who never truly escaped its grasp today. Grey Gardens is restored, but its past still lingers. It stands as a chilling reminder of what happens when dreams are deferred, when wealth and privilege cannot save a family from its own fate. Edie Beale's story is one of resilience and sadness, of a woman who was meant for so much more, but was held captive by a house and a history she could never leave behind. Her story continues to captivate generations, with books, films, and stage adaptations keeping her memory alive. People visit the once decaying mansion, now a symbol of both tragic decline and fascinating survival. And so, Grey Gardens remains, both a legend and a warning, a home filled with whispers of the past and the darkest secrets of the Beale family.